Thank you,
anybody
Frank.
else led. And let's see, Jody, Frank. Yeah. Do we have Charles?
Charles is on his way here in an airplane right now. He's bringing his daughter home.
So we don't have.
Right.
Okay. All right. But it looks like we do have a quorum.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our recorder. So I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. So can you just tell me who's along the bottom there so I can jot that down, who's all here? I mean, I can see who I can see, but then we've got Jeff who's going to be on later, and who else? Jessica. Everybody's muted, I think. There's Matt. Okay.
The only
Do we
one who
have
may
go ahead.
Oh, I said the only one that I'm not sure about is Alan.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're having fun again, right?
And
with the virtual.
I have started the recording, by the way. I'm sorry for the whole meeting.
Who said that?
Jody.
Oh, that was Jody. Okay. Okay. So agenda review and adoption. Like we have Dana here from Victoria. Hi, Dana.
Uh-huh.
And did we want to move Jeff up in the agenda?
Yes,
Maybe?
we would.
Okay. Should we put him before the action or what do you think?
Why don't we put him under public input, where that goes?
Okay.
We got no public input for that section. Could I, for agenda review and adoption, add 5.6 February as a virtual meeting?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So the one thing I will just, if you're not talking, it's better if you mute. And then just remember to put your mute off when we do want people to talk. Because I'm just picking up a lot of background noise here.
Okay.
So
I'm afraid to touch anything. Which icon do I touch here?
it's along the bottom.
Not the video. This, just the speaker.
Okay, so yeah, the microphone. Do you see a microphone? No, there you go. Okay, but now I need somebody to turn on their mute to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I'll second that.
Okay, so that's Jan and Frank. Thank you. All in favor, raise your hand. Board members. Okay, then hopefully you've reviewed the minutes from November. That seems like a long time ago. Any discussion or questions on the minutes? If not, I would ask for, again, a motion to approve and accept the minutes from November.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Jan. All in favor, raise your hand. Minutes approved. Okay, so now I'm going to, with turn over to, I'm sorry if is it Dana or Dana?
It's Dana. So,
Okay,
perfect.
well, welcome Dana.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Wish we could have been in person, but here we are, so we'll make the best of it. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the city manager, Dana Hardy, at the City of Victoria, and I am going to attempt to share my screen with you to make this a little bit more exciting. So let's see if I do it correctly here. Is everybody seeing some slides? Perfect. And then, whoops, not going to do that. Hold on one second. I'm trying to get to presentation mode here, which means I need to move this window. We get out of practice and then here we are. All right, that didn't seem to do anything. Are you still seeing the slides in this same format as it was before?
Yes.
Yes, okay. We're just gonna roll with it. So you'll get a little preview of what's to come.
Click,
But anyways,
click on slideshow at the top.
Yeah, I tried that and it didn't
Do it.
it didn't work. I got the little, we'll do it one more time. Oh, there. Did it go now? Or are you still on the same screen?
No, it's good now.
It's good now? Okay, perfect. All right, well, here we are. I'm going to just dive in, but please feel free to interrupt me if you've got any questions. So as you know, we've been dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, and that has continued to spark conversations and drive a number of decisions. With all the uncertainty the pandemic's created, we do know with certainty there's been a number of lessons and perspectives gained, and we're going to emerge operating and interacting differently than we were before. And I think that's probably conversations and stuff that you've all been talking about too. So as we look at what's happening outside of the pandemic and what's happened in Victoria the past year, there has been a lot despite all of these challenges. So I'm going to kick us off and move through fairly quickly. So again, please stop me with any questions. But I want to start with sharing with you all the progress of our Downtown West development. After 15 years, it's exciting to actually see the council's vision taking shape. So in October, the council was presented with the preliminary development agreement for phase 1 of our Downtown West project, which includes a 149-unit apartment building with indoor and outdoor collaborative living space, a large central green, which will be envisioned as the city's first veterans park, rooftop amenities, and underground parking. And this space is unique because basically all of those first floor units will be able to be converted from residential to commercial or live workspace. And so as our council really wanted to have a welcoming entrepreneurial spirit in our downtown and have that continue to carry through to Downtown West, this will give an opportunity for first-time businesses or for those more service-oriented businesses, florists, salons, lawyers, tax advisors, etc., to be able to take that first step into achieving their dreams without needing to rent separate space if they desired to do that. If you're not familiar with where this site is, if everybody is familiar, hopefully where the Dairy Queen is on Highway 5 and where County Road 11 jogs north, just east of that Dairy Queen is a large wooded parcel. That entire wooded parcel all the way adjacent to actually where the park preserve starts is this area that we're talking about, and it's 13.5 acres. We are also excited to once again have the Crown Jewel of Victoria, our downtown, open to the public and be part of our city's vibrancy. This year, we reopened the doors to community events like our Downtown Business Association's classic car shows on Wednesdays during the summer, our Halloween event downtown, and then we also sponsored several live band performances on the shores of Steiger Lake. We launched a new mini fall festival this year, and we reimagined the winter lighting event in our community and coined that Light Up Victoria, which actually had 200 to 300 people in attendance. This has been great not only for promoting our local business community, but those local partnerships We understand it takes a village to host these great events, and we thank the library for your participation with these events and programs and opening your doors and hosting activities during all these different downtown programs and events, many of which you were a part of this year. We are investing in our community. We did several projects. We paved a much needed parking lot improvement project at the Lions Park. We replaced playground equipment. We opened a regional amenity, the Wasserman Lake Preserve, complete with ADA accessible fishing pier. This project was done in collaboration with the Minnehaha Watershed District and over 5 years in the making. If you have not seen Wasserman Lake Preserve yet, you're missing out. It is stunning, and I invite each of you to swing by and enjoy its many natural amenities. We also secured a location for Victoria Well number 5, and we began construction of water and sewer extension into our South Growth area. This may not sound exciting or fun, but for us, it's critical for Victoria to be able to grow, provide water and sewer to all the new residents coming into the community and all those new businesses. Without this well, we would not be able to grow beyond our current boundaries today. Victoria has so much more growing to do before we become the largest city in Carver County, which is what is anticipated or projected when we are fully developed in about 40 years. As we continue to look to the future, we've also directed our citizen advisory committees to rethink how we use our outdoor spaces, how to be creative on those parks and playground projects. And as we grow, it's important to our community to preserve all those natural features that attracted people to Victoria in the first place. These investments will strengthen and enrich the quality of life that our residents come to experience in our community. 2021 was a record-setting year for building permits in Victoria. We saw strong growth in the housing sector. We did not miss a single day in supporting economic growth in our internal permit process even during the height of the pandemic. Our team transitioned quickly to virtual environments, inspections continued, and we expanded the use of our online tools, including permits and forms. As a result, the city issued more than 124 new building permits, 54 of those being multifamily or townhome units, and we performed over 4,000 inspections last year. We only have 3 people on staff that do that, so that was an incredible amount of inspections happening this year. These statistics highlight that the competitive advantages the contractors and developers come to expect in our community. We take a customer-focused approach, and we partner with our builders and developers rather than engulf them in red tape. It highlights the appeal of Victoria to home buyers. We are a welcome place to build new homes, and our 2020 census numbers show and reflect that, a 43% increase over the last 10 years. Most importantly, during the past year, Victoria residents took care of one another. The support and generosity of our community really came through. We developed a volunteer portal. We're calling it Volunteer Victoria. It's a one-stop shop for our residents to learn and to connect with volunteer opportunities in our community. It's been amazing to see how many people are willing to help do things like pulling weeds, scanning documents, light office work, bag food, even drive for WeCab. This year, as part of Night to Unite, we even collected several 100 pounds of foods to go to our local food shelves. And we launched our new Community Builder program. Community builders are individuals, groups, families, or businesses that through their outstanding volunteerism or exemplary action demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to making Victoria a better place to live today and for the future. Every year, Council will name one community builder, which will be recognized or who will be recognized at our annual volunteer recognition event that takes place in June. I am honored to share our first community builder was named this year. It was Sergeant Michael W. Noterman. He was a proud Victorian native and a role model for the community, and most importantly, a hero for his service in Vietnam. The promise of growth also brings with it opportunity to further reimagine and revision the city. We've taken the year to rebrand based on the foundation of what the city stands for. Our predecessors said it best, Victoria is the city of lakes and parks, and we've used this concept to leverage the full potential of our community, and with it developed a 3-year strategic plan with 8 key focus areas, all surrounding a vision to ensure that Victoria residents, new, present, or the ones that haven't quite realized that Victoria is their North Star, can enjoy the vast natural amenities that Victoria has to offer. So just a real quick peek on those 8 focus areas: infrastructure and transportation, economic vitality, housing and community character, service excellence, engagement and communication, public safety, recreation and culture, and environmental sustainability. Ooh, are you hearing music or is it just me?
I'm hearing it.
You're hearing the music? Okay, it's a little loud. Did not realize I had music with it. Okay, so on this screen, to help drive the results of our strategic plan, we look toward staff and our subject matter experts, our residents, to really help us when we are confronted with problems or projects. And the Senior Advisory Committee is one of the things that we re-established this last year. And that is made up of people in the community to help us identify better ways to serve our aging population. And I thank the community or the library for your support and your participation in this. Patrick has been sitting on this committee and contributing to all the cool things that you're seeing here on the screen that they've developed just this last year. So in less than a year, the senior committee developed this one-stop shop senior resource website, which is being highlighted on your screen now, and identify local and regional senior services, educational programs, caregiver resources, and support that promotes the well-being of our aging population in our community. The webpage also provides supplemental information with printable resource guide, which can be found at all of our public facilities. I'm really proud of the work that they've done here and really excited to see what their work plan will look like for next year. Also this year, we've hired our city's first communications and community engagement manager, who has been focusing on engaging Victoria residents and using what we learned to help drive decisions. In addition to our Volunteer Victoria, both our inaugural and second annual Citizens Academy were tremendously successful. We had 14 and 9 Victoria residents participate in the first 2 years respectively, each spending 6 weeks learning about our community. They spent time with city staff to get a better understanding of how we create parks, what's going on at City Hall, how our streets are built, even how we operate a water treatment plant. We're also heavily engaged with our residents to create a transparent process for input. So last summer, we hosted multiple participatory events with booths, maybe you've seen them around town, called Hello Victoria. Those booths are designed and those engagement activities are designed to ask residents and visitors to Victoria about, what do you like? What do you like about our community? What do you like about Victoria? What could we be doing better? The results have been fascinating and in many cases surprising. We're hoping to capitalize on this momentum and have more council and staff continue to attend these events with the Hello Victoria booth to capture this great feedback. If you're interested, our Hello Victoria feedback boards can be found in City Hall. They are displayed in the first floor and second floor lobbies. We welcome everyone to check it out, even write your own thoughts about what you like and maybe what you don't like about Victoria. We're always looking for ways to improve. Input from our residents helps with our decision making, but Victoria also focuses on using the data to drive decisions. Data can pinpoint how and where we allocate our resources. In 2019, the council adopted 18 market cities based on development and growth and geography to review and compare important matters such as fees or budgets, ordinances, and policies. I'm proud to say that last year alone, city staff reviewed and updated 7 different ordinances in the city, bringing Victoria not only to the 21st century, but will set the stage for years to come. As it turns out, we have got a ton of data in the city. We just haven't been utilizing it very well. So we've established a partnership with My Sidewalk, a city-centered organization and platform that allows us to analyze our data, break down those department silos, and push out transparent and interactive reports to our residents. So the screen, as you can see, has been scrolling, and you can see a different glimpse of how we've used My Sidewalk for our annual fire report and our strategic plan reporting platform, which we update quarterly. Although we pride ourselves in data, market research, and studies, we also strive to be that pilot city for the Western metropolitan region. Just last November, City Council invited 4 panelists representing the Urban Land Institute who spoke about the importance of effective partnerships and shared strategies and tools for us to consider for attracting the best quality and affordable development. We pride ourselves in meeting with developers to figure out how to lower the barriers, provide incentives, and evaluate fees so we can meet our goals of ensuring that every person who wants to live in Victoria can do so without financial hardship. We've identified our 3-year strategic plan. Environmental sustainability is also a focus. With this year's drought, we were confident that this was a spot-on decision for Victoria. As the city of lakes and parks, water conservation is at the forefront of every budget conversation. In 2021, we hired a utility billing specialist who is indeed specializing in water usage in the community, and will be moving to monthly billing, hopefully by Q2, to better monitor our infrastructure and flag potential leaks, which should help save residents and businesses hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on lost potential water. Other than water, the city is also looking at electric vehicles, not only a way to make an impact on the environment, but to help put Victoria on the map as a destination for electric vehicle owners. By positioning charging stations in versatile locations like our downtown, even the Downtown West development, we'll be able to attract tourists to our downtown area so they can enjoy the amenities and the recreation opportunities that Victoria has to offer. Getting close to the end here. We also identified on our strategic plan that transportation is crucial for Victoria, especially as we grow. I think it's really important to thank our state leaders, our county commissioners, and other partners for the extensive work that resulted in the Arboretum Area Transportation Plan. With the growth and the influx of tourism, transportation continues to be at the forefront of budget and strategic discussions, specifically along the Highway 5 regional corridor that runs through the heart of Victoria. Highway 5 relief valve was identified as 82nd Street or County Road 18, and we are knowing that that road will serve as a pivotal transportation network. It must be improved, and we appreciate the support and assistance of our state leaders and our county commissioners in helping transform that road into a safer street for our students and those traveling on the east-west corridor of Highway 5 as that relief valve. So as you've seen, we have had a lot going on just this last year, and there's no sign of us slowing down. It's been a busy few years, and we're using that 2040 comp plan and our 3-year strategic plan to guide where we go. We will also continue to grow our brand. We want to be that welcoming community that embraces everyone. We look forward to opening our doors to new businesses and new residents to provide a stable place for them to grow. And now that I'm going to stop sharing my presentation, hopefully you learned a little bit about what we were doing. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
You've got me almost ready to move.
Perfect. We'd love to have you.
I had I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi, but your voice was breaking up in a little bit for me. But I wondered when you said Victoria would be the largest,
Mhm.
did you say 40 years or 4 years?
Yes, 40.
Four.
So when we are fully grown, Victoria will be is projected to be the largest community in Carver County, which is hard to believe when you look at where we are today and you compare us to Chanhassen or Chaska or even Waconia. Victoria's got a lot of growing to do, and it's going to be really different. And I think that's really why the focus, we know we're going to grow, but the council is really focused on trying to preserve all those natural amenities that makes us unique, that city of lakes and parks. The reason why people come to Victoria, often you will hear, is because of those rolling hills, wooded tree stands, the lakes, the wetlands, the parks, the open space. So to the extent we can not see those things as a detriment to growth, but incorporate them into and really accentuate them, that's a goal of the council and the community. So.
It was a wonderful report and
Any
beautifully
other
illustrated.
questions for Dana?
Thank you, Jan. Well, I always enjoy my time with you every year. I'm happy to answer any questions, take a deeper dive into any specific topics if you would like to invite me back, or any of our team. We're always happy, and I just want to say we really appreciate the partnership. Patrick's been doing a lot of work on the senior committee. We hope we haven't burned you out, Patrick. We'd love to have you back next year. And all the different events and activities. I think for the winter lighting event, we had a beautiful night, and I think the weather definitely helped with the 200 to 300 people that were in attendance. But when even after the event closed, there were still many families in the library doing the arts and crafts projects that were being offered as part of that. So we just so appreciate our partnership with you all on that.
Great. Well, thank you for coming and sharing lots of interesting information. So.
Well, thank you for having me, everyone. I really
okay.
appreciate it. So long.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Next, we're going to move something up from the agenda. It's under 7.1, and I think it's about page 17 in the deck. So, Jeff, are you there?
Just unmuted myself.
Muted.
Can you hear me? I'm on my computer, but I'm also on my phone here at work. Can you hear me on the phone?
Can hear you.
Yes.
I don't have a camera, unfortunately. I'm at my workstation and the camera does not work. So I'm looking at you folks via my screen, and I'm on phone with my phone in my cubby hole back here. It's been a day of challenging stuff on the technology front. Some really incredible echo happening during an adult services meeting earlier today. So I decided to come here from home because I was worried about that connection, but I can't seem to get it to work well here either. But happy to be here. Happy to talk about adult services. Yeah, I can't believe it's been a year since I last visited and kind of gave this update, but it was pretty much exactly the same time last year. And that was a fun day, and it kind of really set the tone for what we did as a team in 2021, kind of keeping our eye on the big picture focus plans of kind of enhancing literary services to the county. And we'll kind of go into more detail on that with some of the programming we offered. And then developing programming that meets the needs of the Carver County residents for cultural, technological, and civic engagement. And I really wish I could have just given folks like a 10-minute highlight of just some of what we were talking about in the meeting today, because I feel like all three of those needs, cultural, technological, and civic engagement, were brought up frequently by everybody on the team. So it's just a fun, collaborative working group that we have in the adult services team, you know, featuring great folks from across the county. I'll just give some names real quick. Laurel Bradshaw, out west, Norwood Young America, but also other branches. Bridget Stewart, holding it down in Watertown, as well as I think you can see her in any of the other western branches as well. Susan Bernstein, whose praises we'll sing a few times tonight, holding it down in Victoria, and also a little dash of her presence at Chanhassen too, a nice mix. Michelle Myers, great addition to Chanhassen. It's been fun watching her work with the team this past year, kind of with Mar and Wilbur. One of the really cool that she was able to work with Michelle as she was beginning her retirement journey early this year. So thank you, Patrick, for kind of working on getting that going. And I'm just thankful to Maren because she was a great team leader, a great mentor, and a great friend. So I just want to wish her well in retirement. Two new wonderful hires, Serena Marnell out west, brings with a lot of great experience. Linnea Fanas comes to us. She's in Chanhassen. She's another wonderful librarian. And then rounding out that team is Jessica, who we'll talk about in a second as well, just doing great work, keeping us on task with legacy funding as the community outreach coordinator. And then Jody, just a really great liaison to management and really fun to work with, and really fosters a good working environment. And I think you can see with some of the great stuff that we were able to do this year. You know, I'm really proud of kind of high quality, engaging programming that we offered this year, kind of as the adult services team, featuring a really nice series of authors, musicians, and artists, you know, across all the programming seasons, kind of from last winter through the spring. You know, we kind of lightened up in the summer, although we did offer some programming, and then kind of getting back in gear in this fall. And it was kind of an interesting year because we kept discussing kind of on and on when we were going to get the opportunity to go back into live programming. So we kind of always had our ear to the ground on that front, kind of waiting for the call from County Public Health, Library Board, you know, but it was kind of great to have a pretty clear channel of communication. We always felt like we were comfortably informed in terms of what directions we were going. And that just made it a lot easier to kind of program out, especially the fall. And as we're now heading into this upcoming programming seasons. And so we really weren't able to get a lot of in-person programming in until a little bit later in the year, where we were finally able to kind of open up a little bit. In September, we had a couple of craft programs. It was great to take advantage of the size of that Wilder meeting room at the Chanhassen branch that kind of gives you that ventilation, and you can have a small group, but still it was great to just see people working on it, and you can kind of see that image in the annual report. But it was just a boon to see people back in the library. I know here at Chaska, it was just great to host our mystery book club in person. Real dutiful, cool group that soldiered on through Zoom, and we're still using Zoom because there's some folks that kind of want to meet that way, especially just everything happening this winter. But it was just so terrific to be gathered back in that fireplace area here at Chaska with a nice pot of coffee from Red Bench Bakery down the street and kind of talk about books that way. So it's great to sort of nudge our way back forward towards a little of that in-person programming. Sure, everything got a little tripped up with just all the events of the last few months, but today we already had another great discussion, kind of how we're going to approach those tasks as a team going forward as we move back to that kind of programming, in-person programming. So I'm really excited that we kind of have that on the horizon, but glad we'll be keeping our ears to the ground, just kind of waiting to see how things evolve. But know that that's kind of a real priority for us once we can kind of get back running with that. Yeah, you know, I just think I can look, you know, I could rattle off a list of just these authors and musicians that we have, but I really think it's just an impressive cast of artists and performers that we were able to gather for Carver County this year. Folks that have kind of both a local, a regional, and even kind of a national, global appeal, dare I say, with some of them. You know, we had this musician, Galen Lee, who I was just trying to do a quick sum of the amount of people that have watched her videos on YouTube, but it's like comfortably north of 10 million people. to have that kind of artist who happens to be from Duluth performing kind of from her house to Carver County to kind of give us a pretty individualized performance. I just thought that was a real testament to kind of the vision of certain team members, and then the ability for the team to kind of talk and encourage one another to pursue a performer like that. So that was great. You know, I can list things like that up and down the board. You know, but also we are really kind of developing a reputation, it seems like, as an adult services team, that we're pretty good to work with larger programming entities like MELSA, who's kind of the metropolitan. I guess everybody here would be familiar with MELSA, but they've been great to work with in terms of the club book program, which is a really great program that brings nationally known, world-renowned authors often kind of to your individual branches. And we're just kind of getting singled out for both kind of developing some really good audiences for those programs, kind of both while the program's happening and kind of after the fact. It's kind of neat to see those numbers rise in that virtual environment, while also still being able to offer a great kind of quality, live, engaging program. I think that's a really one aspect of the pandemic that's been interesting, is that authors have been more willing to kind of do some of these events where we may not have been able to get them in the past. And so we're known for both kind of suggesting good authors that can often be pretty specific to Carver County. You know, we try to get a Prince author, somebody who can kind of talk about that aspect of the county to kind of celebrate it, and hopefully we can get people to start going to Paisley Park and turn that into the wonderful county tax generating revenue body that we want it to be. But you know, it's just great to kind of have that eye on that picture, and it's really just by virtue of having a team that's pretty comfortable suggesting ideas, brainstorming with one another. But you know, kind of in addition to suggesting those good authors, we're also kind of getting known for suggesting good people to facilitate these programs. And if we've learned anything kind of in virtual programming, that kind of having a good host or facilitator is really important to have a event, especially with an author who's maybe not from here, of a different background. We've got a lot of people that are brilliant and know a lot of things about a lot of things, but there's sometimes where you're just out of your element when it comes to a book. But we have such a wonderful community of authors and public speakers here, and we have a good group that suggests people from that community to interact with these big name authors. And I think it's nice to kind of be in a MELSA meeting and have somebody single out your county for being kind of exceptional at that. So that's a real testament to kind of some of the work I think team members have done in terms of wanting a good program, kind of knowing when to step in, but also knowing when to back out. But in terms of stepping in, I think that's another area where I'm most proud to kind of be affiliated with this group, in terms of, I think every single person not only kind of planned a program, but was also willing to kind of put themselves out there on the camera, kind of in that host facilitator role. And I feel like that's how I know how important it is, because I struggled kind of being that person a handful of times last year, although I enjoyed the heck out of it. But it was just neat to see teammates kind of raise their hand and be willing to kind of get out of their comfort zone, including some folks that are relatively new to their positions, new to the system. And so it was just really cool to see, and I feel like a lot of people had some really it was fun to kind of see people take that challenge on and really kind of enjoy being that person that tries to facilitate that and really kind of bring what an author has to an audience. You know, I have such a new respect for that kind of aspect of programming, and people's willingness to kind of get uncomfortable and be vulnerable like that, I thought was really, really neat to see. Partnerships, that's kind of the name of the game as a public-facing county agency, and that was kind of a really fun part of this year with some of the work that we did kind of with Career Force, and then I guess more broadly Health and Human Services. But those were really fun conversations to kind of talk with another frontline service provider in the county to kind of cross-promote materials we have to share. I mean, it's just so nice to create like a promotional thing and have an audience that's kind of enthusiastic to receive it. We'll display it in their space. They were taking library card applications, which is just the dream. Anytime a librarian can hand out applications and people fill them out and get back to you, it's like the outreach dream kind of coming true. And they were always willing to do that. And I just started to notice more and more over the course of the year. It's kind of nice being here in Chaska. You kind of see that career force stuff, but you just started to see people that were coming from over there to here. And it was getting easier for us to kind of recommend people to go over there, having a better sense of their hours and some of those resources that they have. And so they're just a good partner and just some really cool conversations. And it's just been fun to kind of learn from kind of watching how Jody interacts with some of these other folks to kind of learn how we can be of better service. And I think that's just important for kind of those public facing frontline folks like we are here kind of in the library world, you know. And another fruition to that is we've just added more by virtue of this partnership. I think it kind of came up in a conversation that we needed more wireless mobile hotspots, you know, and in that conversation, Health and Human Services said, you know, we might be able to help find some funding for that if you would be willing to kind of take on that administrative role with it in terms of circulating them, that kind of thing. And so it's just neat to see a partnership kind of come up like that, where two entities kind of come together and it helps who they work with. And believe me, that need for those is so real, just to see how they circulate and kind of the gratitude of folks that come in and get one. It's been a really cool addition to what we offer the community over this last year. So to see more of those come by virtue of just some basic phone conversations and brainstorming was pretty good to see. Yeah, you know, I'd say just really it was much more of a focused year. As fun as, I don't want to say anything about 2020 was fun, but at least we challenged ourselves as a staff and kind of came up with some fun programming in terms of book talks, you know, anything from yoga, book talks, that sort of stuff. And it was a little bit more focused this year, although we did make sure we still kept a couple of those strong performers from 2021. Get crafty with Marin. She's still able to do a couple of these really engaging, cool craft projects. And then, of course, get cooking with Jody and her scene-stealing crew of Duke the dog and her adorable daughter. And her even got her mom in on the mix this time, too. So it's fun to kind of have those programs that we had some success with continue this year. But it felt like it was a little bit more of a focused year, you know. And I just really, yeah, I would just say I'm proud of the work we did. I really kind of wanted to single out, you know, I don't want to single out anybody because I feel like the team is great, but I really appreciate the work of, you know, both Jessica in terms of managing that legacy funding and just doing so well at kind of keeping us informed in terms of where we are in terms of these funds, what's spent, what's encumbered, even understanding of those words, which I still struggle with. But, you know, and just she's such a good conduit of information, both getting it from that metropolitan area and even often she can kind of have her ear on the ground to the state capitol and kind of give us some information. And it's so important when these programs are by and large publicly funded to be good stewards of that public dollar. And I think we really have good hands on deck in that department. But I also kind of wanted to mention Susan Bernstein. We all know her for the great work she does behind the scenes, making so much of what we do possible on the broadcasting technology front. But she's also just a wonderful programming librarian in terms of coming up with great ideas for programs. When I mentioned those facilitators, she's one of the key players in that, you know, kind of just comes up with good ideas. And so I just really wanted to single that out. You know, I think with her, we were also able to get another one of those great club book programs because she kind of just kept pushing for this author, podcaster, John Munson, who is just quite a get. He's a really incredible speaker with a lot to say, with a new book, kind of living with depression, that sort of stuff, a real issue that we've all learned even more acutely over the last several months. But to be able to get that program right as he was about to launch a brand new kind of podcasting venture was just quite a get. And I never even would have thought it possible had she not mentioned it a handful of times in meetings, you know. And so just really want to sing her praises on both that technological front as well as just coming up with some really great suggestions, you know. And I'm running way over time, so I kind of want to get going, but I just also want to say it's just a fun team to work with. And I could really kind of, the Dalkey grant was a real fun way to see the adult services team at work, just kind of people responding to needs that they observed in their community. Like, really impressed with what Bridget Stewart did there and kind of setting up the Next Chapter book club. Kind of saw a need for developmentally disabled adults to have some form of, you know, a new social outlet, a program. You know, anybody that works in libraries just knows how vital libraries are to that population. And I like to think the other way around. It totally reinvigorates everything in me to serve that population. So happy that we have a team member thinking like that and then sought to get funding via, you know, it's just like the Dalkey grant is just such a blessing on that front. So I'm really glad that a team member kind of talked it out with the team and then wrote just the ACES grant application and got accepted, you know, and the same thing with the Seed Library venture. It really came about from discussions with departed team members like Suzanne Hunt, Marin, teammates here in Chaska like Margot. Serena, our new hire, also has a lot of experience in that front, but it's just been fun to kind of have a team where you can talk about these real, you know, we're not trying to change the world, but it's just kind of neat to see a small scale effort to just do something good in their community that they observed they needed. So it's just been a fun year and really happy to kind of tell that story of this team just across the board, just a really good group of folks, and excited to add a couple of new members to it. Like I said, we got some great new voices coming in to kind of balance out each part of the county, and they have such good experience that they're already valuably contributing to meetings, only 1 or 2 meetings in. So I think really good things are on the horizon for us in 2021, both as a team, kind of as we build out some of that in-person programming, but also really trying to work as a collaborative unit and kind of keeping that going, because that was one of the, for me, it's been a real gift of this experience of kind of the pandemic, at least my 2 years that I've now been with adult services, just to have that focus and collegial environment has been a real great experience. So thank you for the opportunity to let me jabber a little bit, and happy to answer any questions if folks have them, but I just appreciate the opportunity.
Questions for Jeff? Comments? Thank you. Yeah, I think we all have been aware of some of the things you guys have been doing and keep hanging in there with the pandemic, like we all are. Okay. Thank you again. Okay, we're ready to move to the action items then. So the first one is election of officers that we do in January. And Heidi and I had a conversation a month or so ago. I'm rolling off as president because our bylaws say that it should be 2-year term. And Heidi, I don't know about Frank. Is his secretary term up too?
All the other terms can be 1 year. It's just the president that's a 2-year term.
Okay. Okay.
So, and we did have.
So is Frank, are you willing to be secretary again?
Yeah, I'd certainly willing to do that.
Okay. And Charles has agreed to be president to take over my term for the 2 years. So I think we need a motion then to approve those 2 positions in the officers for the 2022 year.
I move we approve Frank Frost for the 2022 year as secretary and Charles Tay as president for the following year.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Or if not, I'll ask all in favor to raise their hand, although I can't see everybody. We'll hands are raised. Okay, and then for the committee, I think the only committee is the foundation liaison. And Alan, I understand, is interested in taking over that role from me for the next year or whatever. So is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, that's
Alan?
correct. I'm willing to do that. I want to just interject something
Okay,
here real quick. I have to leave early. I have something very important. So when I hang up,
okay.
I have to go. But yes, I'm interested in that position. I'm actually very pleased that I was considered. So thank you for that.
Oh, good, good. So I'll make a motion to nominate and approve Alan to be the foundation liaison for the board.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
second?
I second.
Thank you. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Bye.
Aye. Raise your hand. Yeah. Okay.
If I
Great.
may, excuse me, if I can interrupt, I didn't catch who moved and seconded for the foundation liaison.
Well, Frank was first, I think, and then Jan jumped in too, but I had made the nomination, or I had made the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Got it?
Thank you, yes.
Thank you. Okay. So then we have some policies to look at. Bring those up. One was the volunteer services. It looks like the only change to the current, or two changes, was now requiring a background check. And then secondly, raising the volunteer age from 12 to 13. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep, those are the only two changes in that particular policy that we're recommending.
Okay.
I have a question about
So
the volunteer policy, the change that's being made. And this is based on experience that I've had in other volunteer activities. The first thing is who will be paying for the background checks for the volunteers? Will that be paid by the county, or will the volunteer be billed for that?
That will be paid by the county, as to my understanding, through because it's run through our employee relations department.
Excellent. The other question is how long, what about long-term volunteers, people who've been volunteering for a number of years? Will they require a background check as well?
I believe so. Unless
If they've
I'm
not had a background check, they will need to do so.
One thing I would recommend, if they do require it, be very careful about how you tell them that they're going to have to be checked. I've seen difficulty arise over that very problem. And the third question I have is how often would they be rechecked?
Heidi, do you recall the answer to that question?
I do not.
That's probably based on county policy, and it's really a question, how often do the rechecks occur?
I'm happy to find out. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Jody.
No, I was just going to say I'd be happy to follow up on that question, Frank.
The only reason I'm bringing this up is this can get to be a very touchy subject in some situations.
Okay.
And I'm using as an example, the Arboretum did it all wrong and almost had an uprising. So try to avoid those problems. Those three areas were the three areas where the biggest problems occurred. So just a comment. Otherwise, I have no questions about it. Sounds fine.
Thank you.
So you, Frank, do you want to go ahead and make a motion then to?
Yeah,
approve it?
move we accept the volunteer policy as it has been modified.
I second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay.
My apologies, I have to leave, but thank you very much.
Thank you. I think Matt had to drop off too. I saw a comment from him. Okay, the next one I think is fun. So you want to go through that? Is that you, Jody, that wants to do an overview of this, or somebody else?
Actually, I'm going to have
collection
Patrick as,
development?
yep, I'm going to have Patrick speak to this. He's the liaison
Okay.
to our collection team. Yep.
Hi.
Okay.
The collection team hadn't really been engaged in this before, so they were really excited to be engaged in the policymaking process of this. We did three things primarily, and you can see the changes in red. One was just to make it clear that we are a popular library, not a university library, and that we can't afford to buy everything, so we look for popular tastes. The second thing we really, as you saw spelled out pretty clearly, was we wanted to make much more of call attention to having diversity within our collections, which was not really mentioned except in one language, in one word in the policy. And there's an entire American Library Association policy, which we adapted some from, so that's a new big chunk. And then in our criteria, we wanted to add something about interests of new and growing population groups. So it was a real groundswell of support among the collection team, which is made up of all the people who select books for the books and other items for the library, to make these changes and to answer any questions you might have about them.
On that, the only question I would have is I agree. I'm very impressed with the changes that you're bringing forward. But I do have a question on if the library does not have an area of concentration or the materials that one of the patrons requests or a customer requests, is there a way to be able to forward them or to at least give them guidance as to where they might look for it?
Well, if we don't own something, it depends if they ask online or in the building. Then if it's a new book, we will suggest buying it. If not, then we will we will request the item through interlibrary loan for them. So
Okay.
they have two different options. And one of the things in here is, I'm not sure exactly where it is in the policy, but talks about customer interest or demand is how one of the ways we choose what we get. And patrons are told if we don't have it and can't get it through Carver County, where they can get it.
That sounds good.
I don't know if this is a question or a comment, but I think it looks really good too. I just am curious if you've had any issues come up in the last, couple years, I suppose, because there just seems to be so much in the news about what's the viewpoint, different viewpoint, and what's believing different facts. It just seems like, I don't know, there's articles about teachers being asked to present the other side of Nazi Germany kind of thing. So have you run into anything like that? And
we have not. We've not directly, Gwen, but one of the areas under Section 5, A, general criteria is author reputation of the author. So if someone has self-published a book on the Holocaust did not happen, and someone says, well, you need to have this to represent a different point of view, we would probably come back with, well, based on the authority, reputation of the author, that is not a book we're going to include in our collection. So no, we've not faced anything directly about that, but we think it's important to make sure that people understand that we do represent a diverse point of view, but at the same time, we represent a diverse community as well. And we must have books that reflect that diverse community.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I do not envy you at working or trying to deal with this. It's a very difficult area, and I really commend our library staff at how well they have been doing. I'm I'm blown away with their ability.
Well, and it sounds like you're using the word diversity very broadly. I mean, not in the traditional sense of diverse, but diverse points of view too,
Mhm,
Yes,
right?
mhm.
yes.
Yeah. That's kind of a reset to me. So, okay.
I do have
Any
one
other
other
questions
question.
for Patrick?
Sure, Frank.
On this one, it isn't even a change in the policy, but the last item, when it requests for reconsideration, the
Yeah.
last line says that the director's response to
Yeah.
a reconsideration request, it says the final decision on appeals rests with the Carver County Library Board. And
Yes.
I don't think we as a board have any policies or procedures in place for dealing with that. Probably because it never happens. But we really should do something about that in the future, because otherwise we leave ourselves out open to being arbitrary about decisions as opposed to having a way of systematically handling them. Just a future thing.
Okay. And Heidi, I think that'd be more of a board policy
That
than
would be
a,
a board
yeah,
policy, not a
yeah,
library
Right.
policy.
yeah. Okay, thank you, Frank. I will certainly bring that up with Heidi when her and I have our one-on-one about what we need to do to address that.
Mhm.
That's good that nothing has got that far yet.
Well, that's what I was going to say. In my 6 years on the board, I guess I'm relieved that we haven't had to deal with an appeal. So, okay. So, any other questions? Otherwise, I ask for a motion to approve this policy update.
I'll move to approve the policy as modified.
Thank you. In a second.
Second,
Thank you, Jan. So, all in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, then we have some updates to the budget. I'm assuming that's Heidi?
The 2023 budget is built on a lot of work in the trenches by the branch managers and the operations supervisors for what will make the library the best library possible for their public. And we realize now that we will not be breaking ground this year on a new Chaska library, which means since it's about a year and a half out, we won't be asking for funding for 2023 for Chaska for the whole new library, but we are asking for funding for the majority of the other libraries, a total of 2.675 FTEs to be dispersed amongst all except Victoria, who seems to be at a good place right now. I've already started work with Nick on this. And of course, the Chaska Library will be needing 6.5 FTE. And so that looms large in the county's minds right now. we'll work through it as the year goes on and see what happens to our requests. But and then could I move on to additional funding for services? Gwen?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Last year you approved a request to the county to fund a not charging fines on any juvenile materials because the county needed to find additional revenue to pay just for regular maintenance of the budget. That was taken off the boards. I'm wondering if you want that on the docket again this year. And the reason that you went with this rather than another way of not charging fines was because you felt that children needed to be encouraged to use the library, and also if everyone goes fine-free, you had said last year, when will we get our books back? I don't know if that's still how you feel or if this is something you want to think about some more.
So what does it mean to leave it on the table? I mean, I think it's still something that we would support, but is it, when you say leave it on the table, does that mean bring it back again or just kind of keep it pending or what?
Bring it back to you, or if you want to wait, like say a couple months and then discuss it again. That's what I mean when I say bring still on the table.
Yeah. I would think that, I mean, it's kind of like my to-do list. I'm not going to do it right now, but I don't want to forget about it. So Frank and Jan, do you agree with that?
I'm wondering how our library managers feel about it. They know the community so well. They're individual communities.
Well, go ahead. I can speak for Victoria and Chanhassen. This hasn't really come up a great deal of people saying they're not using the library. We've not run a report saying how many people are blocked at these two buildings, which we certainly could do. The collection team, which I'm liaison for, talked about this, and their concern is if we go fine-free, especially at our small libraries, there may be nothing on the shelf to browse. They're concerned about that with fine-free on children's, but are super concerned about it on all materials, that bestsellers just will not come back, that people will hoard bestsellers and hoard popular books. And so while we didn't directly discuss it as fine-free, we discussed it with automatic renewal. I don't think there's a lot of stomach for it among the people who do collection for doing this. They realize all the good reasons to do it, and there are plenty of positive reasons to go fine-free. Columbia Heights Public Library just went fine-free last night in the decision that they made. I think it's going to be a hard sell for our collection team to support that. And I am personally torn professionally about it as well. Professionally, I think it is a great because it provides access to people. Professionally, I worry about what it does to the collection.
It makes me feel that it is not necessary to be thinking about it at this time. That is a great concern you have. And our community is unique from Columbia Heights and every other district that has done this.
I would just add, from kind of the, some of the Chaska staff perspective and discussions we've had, that whether we head in a direction of fine free, even for just children, I think some staff see the value in that for some of the outreach that we do to our lower income neighborhoods in Chaska, and some of the, I guess, underserved community, or just increasing that accessibility and those barriers. But it's tough, again, from the collection standpoint. And I think from looking at it if you look at it with a budgetary lens as well, thinking about what's the impact on that side of it too. So, but I think we definitely have some uniqueness in Chaska specifically that this could very, very much benefit in terms of our patrons and community.
I was the library staff, not just me, but many of the youth services staff in the library are a part of a initiative, staff development initiative called Project Ready, reimagining diversity in youth services. And in these meetings, we're discussing this diversity and how to do outreach and meeting communities of need with librarians throughout the state. And as Patrick said, there's a lot of compelling reasons why libraries move to free. And then I would absolutely also note, and I talked about this pretty passionately with our management team when we talk about automatic renewals, and that is that one of the unintended consequences of things like automatic renewals or fine free is materials staying out longer, there being less materials on the shelves to browse. And I believe that we've already are struggling with that issue. So I'm also torn because I believe, especially in communities like Watertown and the other Western libraries, Norwood Young America and the communities that branch serves, is that this could be helpful in removing a barrier that other people otherwise see as a barrier for using the library. So it's a very difficult decision. I don't think there's a clear-cut answer to it. And the budgetary impact. I mean, if the county were to support it and say, we'll go for this and we'll support it budgetarily, then that would also be one point. But if the way we're going to achieve this is by having to cut staff or collection or other areas of our already tight budget, then that's a more difficult issue.
Understood.
It's clear that we cannot really make a final decision on it tonight. There's too many factors involved in this. You know, philosophically, I'm a do away with fines, but I agree there are some real issues, and I think we need some hard data on it, really. You know, rather than rely on anecdotal data, we need to know what are libraries' real experience with going fine free. See the effect it has, and it's going to vary by community too.
So Heidi, I'm kind of confused on what we need here for an action item. Do we need to approve the additional FTEs and then say we're going to maybe review funding in 6 months, or help me out here?
Okay. You would approve us seeking the additional FTEs as recommended by the branch managers.
Okay.
And then you just
So
wouldn't
I will
include
make,
the other piece.
I'm sorry, I started talking. What?
So then you just would not include anything about the other piece, which is fine.
That sounds good.
Okay. So I will make a motion to, that the advisory board recommends pursuing the additional FTEs and holding on changing to late fees or fines for now.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second,
Jan said yes. Okay. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Okay. I think we got it. Okay, next we have, I think just kind of the formality of the Charles Dalkey estate disbursement. So
Yes,
are we, go ahead.
you need to accept that because of how large it is.
Right.
And then once you accept
Okay,
it,
well,
the county board can accept that.
Okay, you want to go, Frank?
Yeah, I move we accept the Charles Dalkey donation. What is it? The final disbursement from the Charles Dalkey estate.
Do we have a second? Okay. All in
Second.
favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then motion carried. Then the next thing is, I just jotted down that we need to approve that February we will probably be virtual again. So moving the February meeting to virtual. So I will make a motion that we do that for the board meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor of the board, say aye.
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 Okay. All right. We got through our action items. So the next section is just, I think, I'm going through our list. So we, that sounded, so next we have, Heidi, do you just want to give an overview of, let's see, are we ready for the budget? I don't know what the CIP review and
Capital
plan input is.
Okay. Capital improvement. The capital improvement plan has to do with the new Chaska Library, and because the county and the city are not ready to reveal their plans for the license center, I would suggest we not review any further the CIP. Gwen, could you turn on your mic?
Sorry, I was muted. Anything on this that we need to know today? Isn't it on?
It's on now.
Am I on?
Yes.
So I was asking if there's anything on the strategic that we need to discuss today.
Well, I will tell you that we got only one reply on the strategic plan from board members. And if I send out, or I have Jessica send out another note to everyone, could I ask that you fill it out and just send it straight back?
Oh, yes, I have mine right now. I'm staring at it.
Okay. Okay, let's do that. Sorry, Jessica. Jessica, let's connect tomorrow so we can talk about this. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
so we have we have Frank nodding and we have Jan saying yes. So I think if Charles and Alan can do it too, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move on to administrative reports. We've done 7-1. We got, brand new year with budget, probably not a lot to look at, Heidi, but I'll hand it over to you for that and the director
And
report.
actually, I will just say that there isn't a lot to look at this point. They're still trying to reconcile 2021. So we could just move on to the director's report, and I'll say that it stands as enclosed with one item that I told you I was going to hand off to Patrick, and that's about the progress on the annexation of the library by the city of Victoria. Patrick?
Yeah, I dropped out briefly when Dana was speaking, but somehow I think she probably didn't bring this up.
No, she
No.
didn't.
The city has decided they need more office space and they've decided to take it out of the library. They're cutting 100 square feet in our children's room. So we are losing 100 square feet of our prime real estate and our most popular part of the library, which is the children's room. We'll compensate by maybe having to rearrange and get rid of a ton of furniture, which is less than 7 years old, but there's no place to put it, no place to store it, and there's no room for it. We will lose our play area where kids can play, which is one of our 5 early literacy skills. And we will lose at least one range of nonfiction shelving. So we'll be reducing our children's nonfiction collection by about 1/3. It's the city's building and they get to do what they want. So we were not really asked if this was going to happen. We were told. When it's going to happen, I do not know. We've not been told that. My guesstimate is they guesstimated middle of January. What's the middle of January? I've not heard anything. So I will have a report for you, hopefully not in February. Hopefully they change their mind on this, but I don't think they're going to because they've been down measuring.
I actually was going to bring it up with Dana and then I thought maybe I better not. When she was here. I don't know what I was going to say, but I was just curious about it.
Yeah, so that's where we are. We're going to try to remain open so people can at least get their holds, browse use the copy machines, use the computers, unless it gets too loud and too dusty, then we'll have to close in an emergency basis. But we're really hoping that we can keep part of the library open. The children's area will be totally closed off. But we're going to try to pull out some picture book bins, do some rearranging. So during the 3 to 4 days we were told it would take, people will have access to some of the children's collection.
A new challenge.
Yeah, that's good.
Anything else you want me to add, Heidi?
Yeah, I'm glad that.
I think that's about it.
Okay. And I'm assuming Nick isn't here on one of those phone numbers. I don't know.
No, he's not.
Okay. Okay. Did you want to have any, are these circulation numbers final for the year? So we are down if they are. Did anybody want to comment on that?
Well, if I can just jump in for a second, on New Year's Day, I have a ritual of just calling old friends I've kind of lost touch with. Many of them, as you could imagine, work in libraries, and every single one I talked to reported the same phenomenon we have, that when they reopened their buildings, the traffic just not come back fast and furious. Their circulation is down, their door count is down, their use of computers is down. I was in the Augsburg Park Library on Saturday, which is normally full, and there were more staff in it than there were people.
Mhm.
So this is not, better circulation being down is not surprising.
E-resources look pretty good.
Okay.
Right. And when we have our discussion of how we're going to spend our budget dollars in 2022, it's going to be my recommendation that we once again increase with a goal of eventually getting that to 25% of our budget.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So Patrick, since you're talking, why don't you go ahead and go to the Chan Victoria update?
Okay, so I had Susan send out a revamped report. She just sent an
Right.
earlier one that I had not done, and this one had pictures of the New Year's Eve day celebration that we did. We actually did it a day early, and we did it both Chanhassen and Victoria. We cut down on the amount of confetti at, at Chanhassen because it was out of control last year. So I hope you enjoy those pictures. Probably one of the coolest things is the Victoria Friends of the Library had their first ever book sale. Normally they just have kind of an ongoing book sale, but we did a little mini book sale and we raised over $400 in 5 hours. So that was very impressive. And then I just hoped you read the quote from the parent about the pajama story time that we did here. It's always good. I hope that you enjoy when I can pass along the direct feedback from customers without my filter on it. And it was some very nice feedback.
We enjoy those and appreciate them.
Yeah.
And the photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all I have today. Those 3 things.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. Jody?
Hello. All right. So for Chaska, I included a lot of photos as well this month. So just a few quick highlights. Thanks to Chanhassen, we're actually borrowing the local author collection and having it on display in our fireplace area for a while over at Chaska. So kind of a nice feature area at the moment. And our fireplace is now working again. So you can come in and enjoy that while you browse. We are trying to offer at least once a month Saturday family program, and looking ahead to the year ahead to do that as well, to try to target those families that may not be able to join us during the weekdays. So we're really excited about that and seeing how that goes. Heidi mentioned this, I believe, in her director's report, but we were really pleased to be able to be part of the Every Meal in partnership with Carver County Public Health. They connected us with this organization, Every Meal, that provides food kits that we were able to put out for anyone in need. It certainly is trying to target families with children over school breaks that need that access, but you know, anyone could come in, no questions asked, and be able to pick up one of those kits. So we were really glad to be a part of that. A couple other quick things. If you've seen a recent MELSA ad on the TV, you may have noticed that Chaska is the Carver County Library featured in that, along with all the other MELSA libraries. So we're excited to be a part of that and to represent Carver County as a whole in that advertisement. And don't forget to participate in the Adult Winter Reading Program that started up on January 1st and goes through the end of February. So that's all the information is available on our website and on our Facebook, but also if you call or stop in, any of our librarians will be very excited to help you participate and earn some great prizes along the way. So just wanted to give a shout out. So be sure to tell all your friends as well. Any questions about
Well,
Chaska?
yeah, Jody, I've never signed up for winter reading because I didn't think I should as a board member. I mean, what if I win the Kindle?
That is a good question that I don't know a policy answer to. I know that staff are not able to win those incentives, but we still have staff that participate just to share their great book ideas and book reviews. So,
Okay. All right.
but I could definitively find out a policy answer too on that.
I know. Well, yes, I'm anxious to. Not that I need a Kindle, but it was kind of like I'm very competitive. So if I'm going to go with something, try to win. Okay. Yeah. Good job, Paul.
Excuse me, good evening. And like Jeff is, I'm just cobbled in here using my telephone for the audio. So I piggyback a lot of what others had said. With the Every Meal program that Jody mentioned, we're continuing to offer it here at the Waconia branch, but the pace is definitely higher out at Norwood and at Watertown. So we're happy to collaborate on community initiatives like that one. That's the only one, but things like that I think are a good way. Certainly, we know that the library is viewed by many as a neutral place for them to come in, and so to the extent that helps initiatives like food programs, that's great. Winter Reads, it is going well. I think staff had started to pull some numbers, and there's been good sign up at the beginning of the program so far. It'll be interesting to see if we keep up with other years, but it's going well to begin with. The youth services team last Friday had what's become an annual long meeting for their January meeting. We call it a retreat, and we really focused on planning and starting to get the work going for the summer reading program, which of course is a huge initiative. And in the context of the pandemic, it adds additional challenges of not knowing how we can best plan for in-person performers, in-person workshops, craft events, things like that, versus what will still maybe need to be virtual or we just won't do. The heart of it, the reading program and the kids reporting their reading on Beanstack and everything, that will continue. There's no doubt about that, but these other facets of the summer reading program will be challenging to know how to best plan for them. And we will do it, and we'll do it well. But it is an additional challenge. I'll keep it at that for now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Matt had to leave early, and I have nothing for the foundation. So the rest of the packet is all the good press in November and December.
Hey, Gwen.
Any other?
Gwen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to put a shout in for Michelle
Yes.
Myers, who works at Chanhassen, who's the one who compiles this media stuff and does such a nice job on it. And I know her name is on it, but I just wanted to mention her since Jeff was doing lots of shout outs, just to give one to Michelle as well for doing such a good job on this all the time. That's it.
Yeah, good idea. And yeah, she's on the Adult Services Committee. I picked up the name because I know she's done this for a while, and there's a lot to accumulate. So That's good. Okay, anything else anybody else has for today? Dark out now.
Yep,
You're in the dark, Frank.
I noticed the light is way over there, so
I
I'm just
know.
holding out here. I have a window right in front of me, and it's getting darker and
Yeah.
darker.
I know. Well, we're going in the right direction now, at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, sounds like we're going to see you online next time too, but have a good rest of January. And oh, I guess I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
In a second,
Second?
Jan. Okay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
See
you.
you next.
See you
See you
soon.
next month.